Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to go ahead and get started on the office table. Today I went ahead and took the table up to a local mill and got to use the CNC machine and get everything planed up. The guy's name is Plano Mill. His name is Lloyd. He's in the local area for anyone in the DFW area, so please check him out if you need any projects done. He has pretty good prices as well. So first thing we ended up doing was going ahead and getting the square of the piece of wood that we're using, making sure we know how high we are allowed to cut it down to, and make sure we got started from there. We had several different passes with it on both sides. The top side that we're actually going to be working the most with is pretty close to being entirely flat at this point. There was a little bit of low spots on it that if we continue to go farther down, we'd be losing a lot of integrity of the wood. What we end up doing at some point in this video is flipping over the piece of wood so that we can actually get somewhat of a flat edge on the bottom side, so that whenever I attach the legs it is flat all the way across. But we'll probably get to that here a little bit later. So what you actually see happening right now is there's a router bit, I believe, inside of this little machine here, that as it's going through, it is cutting off little bits of the high spots as it goes through. Now Lloyd himself is actually over here with the little controller, actually making sure that he is making sure it goes straight the whole time, and just taking off little bits and pieces. As he gets through to a certain height, he clicks a button to go ahead and lower the bit down a little bit more by fractions of an inch usually, to make sure that he cuts off as much as possible without damaging the wood. Very satisfying to watch the CNC machine go over the wood, because as it goes you get to see more and more of this wood show up, and you get to see a lot of the beauty of the piece that you're working on. It's one of the more rewarding parts of doing woodworking, that you can see the piece actually open up and show its beauty and show its colors. So at this point in the video now we're starting to flip over the piece of wood so we can try to get the back side relatively flat when it comes to at least the sides and as much of the back side as possible. Uh, we are leaving this side for the most part to me to do most of the sanding and cleaning up, so that way I'm not taking off too much of the wood and still giving it full integrity. This process takes a good couple minutes. I'd say about 10 minutes for it to do this whole backside, where we're going through pass by pass, making sure we're taking off just the bare minimum each pass to make sure it's flat and make sure everything is even. So if you actually watch in this back left-hand corner of the piece, you'll actually be able to see it actually clean itself up as it goes through. This is one of the more fun parts of watching it. While it is little bits and pieces as we go, you still can see a significant difference each time the CNC machine passes over it. And this is something that you can in theory be doing by hand. Just with a big piece like this, I would rather take it somewhere where I can actually get it fully planed and done correctly versus me using either a hand plane or just trying to sand it down aggressively with a level and my eyesight. This is a machine that will do it accurately, perfectly, and without any faults. While we've actually been working on it for a little bit longer, I went ahead and skipped ahead for you guys. At this point, we've already gotten the backside pretty dang close to being flat. There's still a couple low spots that are easier just to be sanded down versus taking away too much of the wood. We're getting close to the point where we start doing only one pass at a time to make sure everything looks good. We'd stop after this pass, I believe, and I would look through it to make sure it looks okay, make sure it looks the height that I'm okay with or comfortable with, and at that point we're ready to go ahead and pay him and get on our way back to the house. As it goes through, once again, the beauty of this piece actually starts to come out. As I mentioned, this is a slab of wood that came from my house when I grew up down in Taylor, Texas, and it's just cool to be able to see this piece of wood go from just a tree that was in our backyard to now actually something that's going to have a lot of use in this situation, being my office table that I'll be using for years to come. last final passes right here. As it finishes up, I am happy to see how much it has changed from being a pretty dark piece of wood that's pretty uneven to something that's flat and something that in theory just with a little bit of sanding I can already go ahead and throw some legs on and use. Obviously I'm going to be doing a lot more work with it, cleaning up the edges more, routing out the sides, and then also trying to fill in some of the cracks. And at this point we are finished and back home. The slab looks great, honestly, in my opinion. A lot of the colors are still there, and even from this old picture that we looked at the beginning of the video, the wood still shows its pattern, still shows all of its character, and it's just now cleaned up and a little bit more pretty, and all the colors are now starting to show. So finally, with this video wrapping up, next thing we're going to be doing is taking a couple days and sanding it down, trying to get it cleaned up as much as possible and picking out some legs. So be looking out for that video coming out soon.